Alright guys, here we are in Blender. Let's first import our object. The link will be in the description so that you can follow this tutorial. Let's go to File and import our object. Delete this cube and this other object, we don't want it. Now let's open another split like that, and T to move this thing, and this other one. And in this split, let's go to shader editor. And let's move on to render view. Let's change our environment texture. And let's go to render setting and change the color management. From the look, let's change to very high contrast. Now let's first add material to our plane. All the link will be in the description so that you can follow this tutorial. Let's just take this tree texture and put it to our shader editor. Don't worry about that, the link will be in the description, so go download it to follow. Now let's take this base color and put it right here. And this roughness, let me put that right here. Let's put this roughness right here. And let's take this normal and put it right here. Now let's go to render setting and check screen reflection because we are on eevee. As you can see now, we have something. Now let's select our object. Let's duplicate our shader editor, Shift D. And let's first enable a node wrangler so that we can work a little bit faster. Just type node wrangler and make sure that is able. Now press Ctrl Shift and left click to preview. On this principal PSD, let's change the color to a red one. If you want to use the same color that I'm using, just type this X code E7000C. And on this one, I will just go with a little bit dark color, white color. If you want to use the same color, just type this X code AE, AE, and AE. Now let's join these two shaders. Hold Shift and select this other one and press Ctrl number pad 0. That will join the two shaders. And now let's start with our first mask. We will start with the edge mask. To make the edge mask, we need first the ambient occlusion node. Let's add ambient occlusion. Ctrl Shift left click to preview it, and let's go to render setting and make sure that ambient occlusion is able. Now let's put the sample to something like 8 and check the inside and the only local, and let's put the distance to something like 0.05. I think that will work. And now let's invert that by adding invert node and put it right here. Now let's add a noise texture to make it a little bit of variation. Control Shift and left click to preview it. Now let's change some setting right here. I will go from the scale, I will type something like 21, and to detail I will go with maximum value of 15. Now let's add a map range node to invert the color. Let's put it right here and let's invert it. Let's preview it. Now in this map range, here is the value that work with my object, but just experiment that with your own object. For this tutorial, here is the value that work with this object. Let's put a value like 119 from minimum, and from maximum let's put a value like 17, and to mini let's put a value like 0.3. No, let's put a value like 6.3, and to maximum let's put a value like 0, but I think 0 will work in this case. And now let's add a mix color to mix this node. From the mix, let's change it to multiply and take this invert and put it to color A, and this map range to color B. Let's preview it. And now let's add a matte node to make it much more contrasty. Let's change the add to a gradient. Let's put it right here, and let's change the threshold to minimum value of 0.1, and I think that is working very cool. Now let's organize our node a little bit. Select it and press Ctrl+G to group it and F2 to name it. I will name it Edge Mask. Now press N to change the color. And now we are done with our first mask. Let's move on to our second mask, which will be the track mask. Let's move on that. To make our track mask, we need first a Voronoi texture. Let's add it. And now let's press Ctrl T to bring up a map range, a mapping and texture coordinate, and let's preview it. Let's move this mapping right here, and let's take this object and put it into vector. Now let's organize our node a little bit. Select it and press Ctrl plus J to group it, F2 to rename it. Let's give a name mapping and N to change the color. Now let's add a node texture between the mapping and the raw node texture. Put it right here. And let's change the setting to, in the scale, let's change it to 2. And the detail, I think I will go with a height value like 15. And from the scale of raw node texture, let's put a value like 15. I think that will work properly. Maybe I will put 12. I think this is work. Let's also change the scale of the noise texture to something like 0.008. Now let's add a color ramp to invert the color. Put it right here, and let's flip this color and put the black color so close like that. So that we have this white mask. And now let's make it a little bit contrasty or a little bit bright by adding a matte node and put it right here. Let's change it to multiply, and let's multiply it by something like 10. I think that is working pretty cool. Maybe we can decrease that a little bit more. Let's again organize our node. Select this node like this and press Ctrl plus G to group it and F2 to name it. I will name it track mask, and N to bring the color. Now let's add a noise texture. That will be our last mask. Control Shift and left click to preview it. Now let's take this vector and put it into this vector. Now let's change the scale to something like 105, and let's add a color ramp to invert the color. Let's flip the color and put the black color to something like that. And now let's select these two nodes and press Ctrl plus G to group it and F2 to name it. I will name it noise. Sorry, let me change that name, noise, and N to change the color. Now it's time to group let's group all these nodes. Let's first start with these two group of mask. Let's first join the track mask and the edge mask. Because we are working with a black and white color, we can just use a matte node to group it. So let's add a matte node. And let's take this gradient and put it right here, and this one and this multiply and put it right here. Now let's preview it. Control Shift and left click. As you can see, now we have this beautiful mask. And now let's take this mask and put it into this factor, because the factor will tell us where is going to be color A and where is going to be color B from these two principal shader. Let's take this and put it to our factor. And now let's preview our mix shader. Let's also check bloom. As you can see, guys, right now we have this beautiful material on eevee, and that is starting to looking very cool, but we can make it look a little bit more cool. Now remember, the black color is this principal, the dark white color is this principal shader. Let's just change this edge right here. This obviously have to be metallic, so let's increase the metallic to all the way up to 1. As you can see now, this is much more better than before. Now let's go to this principal PSDF. Maybe in this one we can just decrease a roughness a little bit, just a little bit, that we have a little bit of reflection. Even on this one we can put just a little bit of roughness, just a little bit. And lastly, let's take this noise texture and put it to, let's take this color ramp and let's put it into height of the bump. And now let's take this bump and put it into the normal, so that we will have a little bit of texture in our red color, and our object will look very cool on render. As you can see right now, it is too strong, but let's decrease this strength to a low value. For me, this value it worked properly. If you want to use the same value, just type 0.117. Alright guys, here is our final material. I'm now going to show you how to group all that and minimize it to a final node material, so that you can change the color or other setting without going deep to all this material that are very complicated. Now let's select all that except the output, and press Ctrl J to group all that. Now press Tab to go to edit node. Let's move it too close of our output. Now let's press Tab again to go to our node setup. First thing we have to connect is our base color. Let's bring it right here. And now let's take this base color, this first color, and put it to our output, and let's press N and go to group. And now let's give this name color 1. And now when we press tab to out the edit node, we have this color right here. Let's move on again to our node setting. Let's move to this second color and take this base color and put it right here. Let's also press N and go to group setting. Let's change it to color 2. Let's press tab and we have now these 2 color. Let's again press tab to go to the node setting. Now let's move that to our edge size. The edge size is on the edge mask. Let's move it right here, and this distance is basically our edge size. Let's just take that and put it right here, and let's go to our group setting and let's name that edge size. Let's move on. So you can see we have this node right here where we can change the edge size. Let's go back, and we can also change the track size. Let's move that to the track size is on the track mask. And let's take this scale and put it into, let's put it right here. And press N to change the name. Let's name that track scale. As you can see, now we have this track size setting where we can change the track size. Now we can also have the track random. I think this scale will do the job. This scale right here, the scale of the noise texture. And now let's name it track random. And finally, we have this final node setup. That is very handy because right now you can just change the color. Because now you can just change the color of your object right here. You can even change the edge size. And you can also change the track random. And I think that is cool.